Welcome to my Cities Skylines 2 Let's Play Episode 1. For today, we have James Smith. He recently sold his national basketball team, the Dallas Mavericks, for $3.5 billion. Now that James has all this money, he wants to create his own city in the Southern Hemisphere in the United States. Let's get started. Step number 1 was to find a place to start building our city. Now, the real estate agent provided 12 different options, and we decided to go with Barrier Island. The reason behind that is it's North American themed. The climate is between 10 and 29 degrees Celsius, so it's warmer in the Southern Hemisphere. 41% buildable area, and outside connections such as highway, rail, shipping, air, and electricity. Also, it has plenty of natural resources for fertile land, forest, and oil. So this is plenty of options to build, and James Smith was really excited to get started. So next, we have the land, and we have a few different options. We don't want anybody to give us tutorials. We also we don't want natural disasters and hurricanes popping up out of nowhere. So we have none of that enabled. Next is, what are we going to call our city? You can see here we have a die or a dice where we can randomly select it, but James Smith decided to go with Stamford, aka one of his schools he went to when he was a younger child. So let's get started. So welcome to Stamford. This is where James Smith wants to build his city empire. And as you can see here, there is an island, and remember, the map is called Barrier Island. So this is Barrier Island in Stamford, and what we want to do is we possibly want to build up the island with the entire downtown, and then eventually build up commercial. So for step number 1 in how to build your Cities Skylines city, it's very simple. You need to go to the air pollution option in your info tools. The reason behind that is we need to know where to build our industrial. Eventually, we do want to move the industry off this main island, and we want to push it towards before the bridge, essentially. So we want this whole Barrier Island to become a giant city. So think like New York City. So the first step in building your Cities Skylines city is we need a road layout. So what I would like to show you is right now we don't have any highway options right now. Eventually we will unlock it. So what I like to do when I start my Cities Skylines city is I want to create a road network in and out of the city. So right there on the screen in front of you, you can individually place down a road, but in Cities Skylines 2, you can toggle the parallel mode. Now, parallel mode can help you create highways or roadways in a very, very quick fashion. Now, what you can do is you can always adjust the parallel mode and how wide your roads are. I moved it down to a 0.5, and it just looks a little bit more natural road-wise coming off that bridge. Eventually, this road is going to become a highway. So what you're going to notice when I'm building my city, we're going to kind of keep things away from this bit, just kind of somewhat separated from our residential area and our commercial area. So next, like I said, we need to create the Cities Skylines road layout. So what I'd like to do is go up straight about 320, and what I would like to do is I want to create a right angle, and we want to make sure we got past that little inlet because, well, we don't want to, if we're starting out with grids, we don't want that grid to get affected. So we're going to go a little bit further up. You can see here with the tool, we went up 180 degrees and we used the right hand continuous turn. You can see here it is 90 degrees based on the screen in front of you. And that is perfect. And honestly, the new road tools in Cities Skylines 2 make that so much easier. And we made a perfect 90-degree turn, and we had our road go straight at 180 degrees. Now, for the most part, if you've ever built in Cities Skylines, actually Cities Skylines 2 or Cities Skylines 1, you're going to know that the best way to start in Cities Skylines is to create a grid. Now in Cities Skylines 2, on the tool belt, they have this grid option, and it helps you create grids much quicker and much more efficiently. And I think as this game has updated, I honestly think this has been an excellent tool. So I like going by 176 and just kind of expand it out like that. And look at that, we have perfectly symmetrical squares. I mean, it's a perfectly symmetrical grid, and we could just add it over here as well to the right. Eventually this grid is going to expand massively, and I love it because that whole grid fills in really nicely. Now, once you have that grid in place, make sure, now you can see here that sometimes the road tool does not always go 90 degrees by 90 degrees. So be very careful when you're placing down the roads. Like right here, there it goes. It finally goes 90. And then we're going to add a couple more entrances in and out of our future residential area. This is going to be really good for traffic and people coming in and out of this area. And honestly, like, you don't want a million of them. So I tried to separate them out as best as possible. And I gave 4 different ways to get in and out. Now you're going to see here, this is where, okay, I'm going to add a 5th. I apologize. When I create my City Skyline cities, I do voiceover, so I apologize for that. But anyways, you can see here that that grid system is not always perfect. You do have to rework some of the intersections and stuff like that. And as you can see here, sometimes it doesn't go down like that 90 and 90. That honestly it was just an error, Cities Skylines error. Anyways, we have a residential in place. What we need to do next is we need to start creating our industrial area. And what we need to do first is, you see those power lines at the bottom of the screen. So over here, this is going to be our industrial area, very temporary. And then you see this island. I would like to, this is going to be Trash Island. And essentially we're going to have a lot of our maintenance buildings over there, and you'll see as time goes on. Anyways, back to these electrical power lines I kind of mentioned. So this is going to be our entrance in and out of our city for our small temporary industrial area. And what we want to do is we want to build a coal power plant. Now you're going to ask, why do we want to spend $100,000 on a coal power plant? Well, you're going to see exactly why. So we placed down the coal power plant for 100,000. You can see here, it provides 70,000 month upkeep, and it creates medium pollution. But anyways, next what we need to do is grab the high voltage wire and connect it up to that outside electricity. Now what this will enable us to do is sell electricity to adjacent cities, and it will help us make a ton of money. So now, while we're waiting to build up the rest of our town, what we're gonna do next is, I did turn off the power plant because I did not want to waste money for no reason when we weren't actually building anything. And what I want to do next is create Trash Island. Now, right now, technically we do not have garbage, but you're gonna see as time goes on, eventually we're gonna get there. So right now we're building a bridge. So you want to hit that page up button a couple times and make a bridge over that river. And then eventually you do need to connect it to the ground and make sure it is flat. Now, when you're doing this, just be very careful and make sure that your decline is somewhat appropriate. Like that one actually is a little bit aggressive. The other one looks a little bit more natural, but overall it looks really good. So I'm going to speed this up. I want to add a medium. So basically I created a medium-sized road because we know that garbage trucks in City Skylines too, well, they create a lot of traffic. So you can see here, I'm using some of the road tools just to kind of create a more natural looking road. Overall, connected, everything looks amazing. So again, over here, eventually we will have our trash once we unlock it. So we're just creating a way to get in and out. And again, we're just laying it out for the eventual future of what we're doing in that area. So now let's get back to our temporary industrial area. What we want to do over here is very similar to what we did with our residential. I wanted to use the grid tool that came with the new City Skylines game and just add it. Now, if you're asking, Sports Monkey, why do we have so many grids? Well, remember, this is going to be a downtown area, and everything downtown is very tight. Now you're gonna see here, that grid, it is not perfect. You can see here, we have some funky layouts, but for now, since it's temporary, we are going to forgive them. But you know, that grid tool is not perfect, but it works pretty darn well. Next, so step number 3 I would get to is we need to add water. So you can see here, there's arrows going down the stream. So what we need to do is obviously just like in Cities Skylines 1, our sewage needs to be far away from our fresh water intake and down the stream. So sewage, just like in Cities Skylines 2, you just need to connect that up. You can see here, we have an orangish bronze piping. That is sewage only. Sewage only in Cities Skylines 2. So this way it has its own individual pipes. So you can see here the sewage pipe, again, it's based on the color. You can see color wise, it's like orangish, yellowish. Anyways, our sewage is now officially pumping out, and you can see here, you have upgrades, an extra settling tank. You have a chemical purifier. So a lot of the Cities Skylines 2 buildings, you can upgrade to make them last longer term. Next, what we need to do is add a fresh water pumping station. So fresh water is 25,000. You can see here it's water pumping station, 25,000, an output of 100,000 gallons of water a month, which is absolutely amazing. So the water pump, you also have upgrades, but you can see here there's an icon and it shows, here's your upgrade, here's your upgrade extra pump, which you can add more water to 50,000 gallons more. But next you're gonna see on the screen, there is a road icon. Now in Cities Skylines 2, for some reason, the water intake needs to have road access. Don't ask me why, I have no idea. But anyways, now that we have water in our city, we also have sewage, and you can see here the blue pipe is connected to our city, and in Cities Skylines 2, water pipes connect to all the roads. So our city, we don't need a pipe anymore. No, we don't need to pipe, which is amazing. So for our 4th step, we need to turn on the power plant, and there we go. We leveled up to a tiny village. Now you're gonna think to yourself, all right, like what did we get and how did we level up to a tiny village? We have 0 citizens, literally none, which is absolutely insane if you think about it. Well, here in Cities Skylines 2, we're gonna go over to a tiny village, and you're gonna see on the screen in front of you is experience points, money. There you go. There we go. I zoomed in for you. Experience points. How do you gain experience points? Every time you build a road, every time you build a power plant or a building of any sort, you gain experience. So just by creating that road system, we got experience and hit our first milestone, which is very new to Cities Skylines 2. Next, you get $600,000. Then you get developmental points. Developmental points, if you go over to the development tab, you can see here we can unlock certain things as our Cities Skylines 2 city gets bigger. And as you can see here, we have a developmental point of 1. So we have very limited options because, well, our city has 0 people and technically we don't need all of these upgrades right now. So we're gonna go back and eventually we'll use that dev point. But overall, you can see here, our tiny village milestone, we unlocked a few things. We unlocked medium density housing. We have more road options. We have healthcare, and we finally have garbage. Now, that is actually amazing. We also unlocked and we received 3 tile permits. That was what the green icon was in the experience part of Cities Skylines 2. So next we want to add low density residential. In Cities Skylines 2, be prepared. Cities Skylines 2, you will need to create a lot, I'm telling you, a lot of low density housing in Cities Skylines 2. Next, you can see here, all right, we have our light green going down because we're building. Next is we have the medium row houses. So we have that dark green, and what I'm doing on the screen in front of you is I'm trying to adjust the zoning because, well, in Cities Skylines 2, we don't have any mods that can adjust the zoning. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to create medium housing and maintain the north to south direction. And so by just creating paths, we did that. We adjusted the zoning for that square. So far, so good. We have a city and we're starting to get people. Next, we want to add our industrial zoning. So we're going to use the fill tool and we're going to just click all of this area. Again, this is going to be temporary industrial, but eventually this will all fill in and be moved. But for the time being, we honestly, we need it. I mean, that's all there is to it. In order to grow your Cities Skylines city, you need to keep building, and we couldn't wait just to build that industrial area. Next, what we need to do is go into commercial. So commercial, we still want to maintain it on our main road. Remember, that eventually is going to be a highway. So all of this, all this commercial will eventually get bulldozed. I'm just being honest with you. Now in Cities Skylines 2, different size buildings affect the way taxes are formed. So if you get too high rent when you're playing Cities Skylines 2, too high rent, I know that issue is out there. I know many people have that issue. If you create smaller buildings instead of that 4x4 or 5x5, these buildings will be taxed less and the rent will be people will not complain as much as they usually do in Cities Skylines 2. And that can help you alleviate the high rent issue in this game. Right now it is bugged, but eventually they will fix it. And again, I'm just trying to create different size looking buildings just to create some uniqueness. And eventually, like I said, all of these will be destroyed. But you can see here, look at our city is growing. It is getting bigger. And this is kind of a funny, awkward part in this game. You can see here, we've so far have a lot of roads and a lot of houses and nobody's even moved in. Building in Cities Skylines 2 does require more patience because you can see here, these cranes are taking forever. So now what we need to do next is we did unlock this with the tiny village. We do have a medical hospital. And what we want to do is create that, place it on the the main road so that, it is a medical clinic, but not a medical hospital. Anyways, more updates to the building can be had when you do create the medical clinic. There is an ambulance depot, and then there's also an extension of the wing. And you can see here, like you can add more patients essentially. So, you're not going to outgrow your medical clinic in, a few hours essentially. So next we have the cemetery. Now I did not unlock the crematorium, but these cemeteries are massive. And by massive, I mean, they are humongous. Now for now, I'm going to place that there. I might change that eventually and move it, but you can see here upgrades to the cemetery. You can see here we have a mausoleum and we have another building that you're able to add to the cemetery. It's really cool that you're able to upgrade all these roads and whatnot. So it's honestly a really cool thing that you're able to do. Yeah, there's the crematorium. We have one dev point. We could unlock it, but I really don't think, I don't think now is the time with that cemetery. I don't think that's a good idea. So next, what did we unlock next? Well, we unlocked trash. So how do we handle trash in Cities Skylines 2? So you can see that there is a brown radius around the whole island itself. So that is where you can actually build trash in your city. So instead of placing down the landfill facility on that main road, I thought that would be a bad idea because we know garbage trucks there's a lot of them and they create a lot of traffic. So I wanted to create its own road system in and out of the area. So what you're going to see here zoomed in, I'm creating a district, and by left clicking, and you can choose the district and where you want it to go. But remember, you have to keep it within the radius. So every time I left click, there is a point that it's literally a point. There you go. And there's another point, and then you have to finish it up. And there is our landfill. So you can actually expand the landfill. You can make it smaller. You can see here that there are upgrades for the landfill, like a waste cycling unit and recycling unit and stuff like that. But what's really neat about these landfills is that you can actually stretch the landfill lot. So here, I remember these points that I told you about. See, you can move those points after you create them. So you can move them to the right, the left. You can actually move it closer to the building itself. And, it just looks a little bit sharper than, keeping everything very tightly packed together. You can also do that to the right if you want to expand that even more. I will say the landfill designs, and as we get into the industries and city skylines too, it honestly does make it look a little funky. All right, so right now we have one developmental point, and I would like to use it on the advanced road services. So over here, I mentioned that this is our trash island, which it's still trash island, but we wanted to add maintenance buildings to it. So the road maintenance building is on the road tab itself. And as you can see here, it is a decently large building. Now this road maintenance building also creates a decent amount of traffic. You'll see that trucks do leave this building, and essentially we want to give it its own little road where the road maintenance trucks can come in and out and not mess up any traffic with our landfill. So first and foremost, what I want to do is create an auxiliary road, and I'm going to create one down here, and we'll just place it right there. And what we'll do is we'll grab the road maintenance building and place it right along there. Right there. Fits perfectly like a glove, and it looks really good. This building, remember, is extremely important. You can add an extra warehouse building on the side for more trucks. But remember, this building, if you have a lot of traffic, this helps you manage your city skylines traffic. And I did want to add a cul-de-sac at the end of that road, just in case, if you miss your turn into work, well, you can use the roundabout and / cul-de-sac and get back and make a left-hand turn. But anyways, this building is extremely important because this helps you manage your city skylines to traffic. And you're going to see here, it does unlock a few different things. So let's move over here. You can see everything right now is filling in. And again, it's filling in at honestly, a very slow rate. So before we get into the road maintenance depot and what it actually does is, if you ever need to gain more experience points, building roads in City Skylines 2 it's honestly kind of a hack / cheat that, this is getting some. Now it is going to cost us $10,000 this grid, or $11,000, and we will eventually use it. But I guess my point to all this is if you need more experience points to get to that next level, just building roads is probably the easiest and best way to go about it. So you can see here, eventually I do connect it up. I did not want to show you me connecting it up because, well, we ran into some technical difficulties, but that is all good. Yeah, that last road did not look good. But anyways, all right, we have this area and it's all ready to go to get filled in. But so far, so good. Very happy with this. And I might eventually see that little area in between where that medium-sized road is. We're eventually going to expand out that way. So now back to the road maintenance depot, and what does it actually do? Now you have a street light option. So over here, you can see here, traffic is starting to build up. If you want to get rid of the traffic light, hit that right click and you will remove the traffic lights, and all the traffic on the left and right hand side will eventually start to yield. So look at that. You can control traffic by removing the traffic lights themselves. Okay, that's cool. But next, what can we possibly do? Now you can see here, we can click on the road and add sides of grass on the sidewalk next to it. Then guess what? We can add trees to it. So the road maintenance building can help you customize your city skylines to city. And it does look pretty cool, honestly. Like that grass and the trees, it does look a little bit more realistic because remember, we really don't have that many options. So next, all right, we are going to keep moving forward in our city skyline city. Next, we have signature buildings and we unlocked a Rockstar mansion. And what we get from the Rockstar mansion is you gain the signature buildings, help you gain more. It's not more, well, you gain experience points, but it helps your city's overall well-being. So you can see here, +2 to well-being within 500 meters of that building. Now, I know I plopped that in the middle of nowhere, but eventually this is going to get filled with residential, and eventually we will get all of eventually we'll get all of that. We'll get all the plus 2 to well-being to all of our residents in that area, and it will be okay. So next, I'm just filling in commercial at will. We have a massive demand in blue for commercial, and you can see here it is quickly getting eaten up. And so far, look at that. Our industry filled in. It looks really good. I like when you're building industry, I really do like how everything looks when they're all together and compact. Next, let's get into education. As you can see here, just like other services in this game, you can see here it's connected to the road. You can see all of the green in all of the places that will have education. So here is the elementary school. Elementary school is for kids, if depending on where you live, but in the United States, it's for kids. You have a children's clinic, you have an wing extension, and a playground. If you are playing this game, I automatically just assume add the playground because it's such a simple, easy add upgrade-wise, and it's pretty darn affordable. Next, what I want to get into is the high school. The high school is a little bit different of an animal. As you can see here, I did place a road, and I do want to attach the high school, and there we go. When you are creating a high school in Cities Skylines 2, make sure you leave yourself a lot of room. There is this football field / track that is an excellent asset to add to your Cities Skylines 2 high school. It just looks amazing. Like I love, even though it's big, I love it. Next, I want to get into a couple more of the upgrades. So the sports field, $56,000, only $15,000 a month upkeep. That's super cheap and it looks so much better and I love it. So next, you can have a school library or a wing extension. I highly recommend you use the school library and upgrade it because it helps students graduate from high school. And in Cities Skylines 2, education in this game is so very important. So now I'm going to speed it up a little bit and I'm going to show you Cities Skylines detailing in 2023. The new fences in Cities Skylines 2 are these paths. And I know how stupid that sounds, but we have no props. So that's why we have to build these paths and just kind of build a sort of a unique design just to make it look interesting. So for example, right here, I'm not going to show you everything, but looky here, we have an X, a path with an X, and we're going to lay down some trees. So trees in Cities Skylines 2 do take time to grow, but this is the extent of detailing in Cities Skylines 2. That's why I sped it up. I did not want to give you the slow, grueling death of, just Cities Skylines 2 and detailing and boredom. Anyways, while we were detailing, we unlocked a large village. So you can see here, we have budget, livestock, stone mining, firehouse, and police services. You can see our budget stinks. So taxation wise, bump your taxes to 18% to maximize profits. We will still be in the negative and we'll eventually get out of that negative, but 18% seems to be an okay point where Sims they're not leaving, they're not moving out, and they're only slightly mad. So taxes to 18%. So our schools, we're eventually going to get back to that detailing wise later on in this video. But so far, we have demand for literally everything except for industry. So what we need to do is we need to fill in this residential as quickly as humanly possible. Now, again, we're going to surround this school with residential and it's going to look absolutely amazing. So again, we're just going to place it down. We're just going to plop these low density. Remember, I told you low density is kind of like, it's insane how overpowered it is, to be honest with you. This is just me being completely transparent with you. Like, you have to build so much low density that it's honestly absolutely insane. So what I want to do next is, all right, our low density is for the time being taken care of. What we need to do is we need to expand that medium density. You can see here the darker green is, it's definitely a demand. So what I did was I used that grid tool. Be careful when using that grid tool because it will look a little funky. You can see here some intersections are a little funky, but overall it works well. Anyways, this is where we're expanding. There we go. Everything connected up really nicely, and we have our perfect looking squares. So I am speeding this up because I already showed you guys this. So in order to have the medium-sized row houses all go the same direction, well, I'm cheating and using a path again to make sure that those houses are not growing in a different direction. And as you can see here, they are going on the screen from north to south. Overall, it will look good. I promise you that there is a rhyme and reason behind that. I know it's kind of cheesy, but whatever, it is what it is. And here's kind of an example of what it looks like, the medium row houses. Like, I love these buildings. It's just the medium row houses have more people in them. They look a little bit better. Like the low density residential is like your suburbs, basically, essentially. So, the suburban home with space, with pools in the background, the garden, and the whole 9 yards. Okay. So what we need to do next is we do have a demand for commercial. So near the school, so in the United States, I will say in the United States, a lot of schools do have like your gas station nearby. They do have commercial. So we're going to build a little bit of a commercial area in our city. Before we do that though, we want to go into our developmental points and we want to click, and in order to create a cool commercial area, you want parking. So we're going to unlock parking for 2 dev points. We still have 1 left. I'm still debating. Right now, I don't see anything I truly want. Maybe roundabouts unlocked. But other than that, we're going to save that 1 dev point. So now that we have parking lots unlocked, what I want to do is I want to show you guys what to do with those parking lots. So parking lots over here, we have the smallest parking lot and a medium parking lot. So I'm just going to place a couple near the high school. In the United States, I'm just being very honest with you. There's a ton of parking lots around high school. So these medium sized parking lots, they kind of combine together and they kind of look like they're just one giant parking lot. And there you go. We'll add a path behind it. And like I said, eventually we're going to detail later and, we'll get to that. So now let's get to that commercial plaza. So what we want to do over here is, so we want to design the plaza itself and we want to have it nearby the high school and elementary school. So this plot of land, I'm going to create some of the commercial space. So what we need to do is kind of lay out what we want to do. So we have these small alleyway roads. So they're not big by any means, but they kind of fit what we're looking for. So we want to add a couple more of the parking lots. Yes, we love parking lots. In the United States, we have a lot of these small commercial areas that require parking lots, and you're going to see exactly what I plan on adding. Anyways, for detailing wise, we want to add paths behind there because, hey, we want people to walk to our commercial area. So now that we have the parking lots, we can easily fill that in, but we want to make sure that a couple things. When you're building these, you want to make sure that the parking lots are facing the right direction. So we want all of our commercial buildings here to face the parking lots and not necessarily the school. We're going to leave that alleyway there for the time being, but eventually we might fill that in. We really don't know. So anyways, once we have parks and stuff like that, things definitely get more interesting in the Cities Skylines game, but that is the next milestone, which we're not at. We're not near a large village yet. So on the screen in front of you, you're going to see, we'll just fill that in for the time being. We'll fill this all in, but then you're going to notice something. We have a problem. One of those commercial buildings is faced towards the wrong direction, and that's not what we wanted. So I know we've seen this many times, but we need to make sure that we use a path and make sure so you can see here, this is perfect example of how using a path changes the direction of the zoning in Cities Skylines 2. Anyways, next. All right, we have that zoning filling in. Everything's facing the right direction. This is called detailing in Cities Skylines 2. Yes, this is sad. This is detailing, just adding trees. We don't have a prop line tool at the time of creating this video. There is no prop line tool in Cities Skylines 2. Anyways, let's let that fill in. Our school and the surrounding area, we'll let that also fill in. But everything so far, so good. So now we did unlock, we do need a couple services. We do not have fire and we do not have police services. So the fire services, we're going to click right, we're going to put it, yeah, you're going to see all the green. All right, so that our whole town right now will currently have that, fire coverage. And you can see here, I don't mind placing the fire department in that area of a residential because it looks like a church, or it looks like a building that would belong in that area, and it doesn't look out of place. Now, police is a little different. I might move this as time goes on. The police station is a little bit rougher because, well, look, there's a parking lot and it just does not look like it belongs. But anyways, we needed one for the time being. We can always move it. I know that's not the most realistic thing in the world, but that's what we're going to do. So next, we have more commercial that needs to be filled in, and we have more residential that needs to be filled in. And you can see here, we're going to plop, we're going to cheat. We're going to plop a few of our commercial plaza or commercial districts. We're going to plop them in the middle of residential. I don't think this is a bad idea necessarily. Have these go on two different directions. There you go, from north to south. And I think that's completely okay because we needed to get that demand. Right now, we're at $4,270. We're losing money. And so far, we've built everything we can possibly build except for the livestock and farming. So this is, remember I mentioned to you earlier, we wanted to get that industrial area and we want to move it to the other side of the map. So what we're going to do first is we have 12 tiles we can unlock. We're going to grab those 12. Well, we're not going to use 12 of them, but we're going to grab 8 of those tiles, purchase that, and then we're going to eventually move over some of our industrial area. Now, this is not next episode when we get into it. Cities Skylines 2, episode 2. What we will get into is more of a massive expansion of our industrial area. But for today, I just wanted to show you just quickly move things over and then we'll do the expansion later. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm creating a Cities Skylines highway on and off ramp custom. These ramps are not bad if you don't have much room. This is almost like This is probably the most realistic highway on and off ramp without doing anything too insane. It's just a medium-sized road, and then we're using the single road to go in and out, and we're using the 520 unit mark or 576 money mark just to make sure that our roads are equal distance. There you go, 576. There you go. That's the exact number. 576 and declining, so that all of these, they just kind of look similar essentially. So what we need to do is obviously connect up the highway on and off ramp. Now, if this road does get busy, we will have to upgrade the highway road so that there is a dedicated highway on and off ramp. But right now, there's honestly nothing there. There's nothing built over here. Now, if our industrial area gets massive demand and it creates traffic jams, then we can change it up. So in Cities Skylines 2, if you have a road that is going the wrong direction, go to the replace tab on the tool belt. And what you'll do is you'll hold down the left click and drag it all the way to the direction you want it to go. So from right to left, hold down right, go left, and you'll see eventually it will replace the direction of the road. It's honestly really funky. I'm just going to be very transparent and honest with you. In Cities Skylines 2, it is very, very funky. I find it very interesting, and I don't love it. Anyways, now that we have our super simple highway on and off ramp, what we'll do is we'll just create an area for our industry for the time. Like, all of our industry is coming this way. It is coming from over here and going down here. So what we need to do is we need to create an area that is big enough to so we don't want to destroy our city's commercial, like just we don't want that. We also want to use the grid tool that we've used all episode long. But what we want to do is we want to create an auxiliary. Yeah, there we go. We're creating an extra road where we don't want all of those connections to go to that main medium-sized road. That would absolutely destroy traffic. In this situation, you can see here the grid is going to that smaller road. And this way we're going to save our traffic essentially. Like it's going to be a lifesaver traffic-wise just by adding that additional road. So remember, we are hoping that this is going to be enough industry to fit the need of our current city and help us with further expansion later on. So what we need to do next, so now that we have our industry in place, we need to actually find a spot to move our coal power plant. And this is going to be the area. This is the area I scouted out for it because we have those power lines. The power lines mean a lot. The high voltage power lines need to actually be connected. And yeah, we're just finding no, not right there. Yep, right there. Perfect. So we need to make sure we have electricity that's going from one side of the city to the next. Now, what we're going to do is you can see here, we have power lines. The power lines are underground currently. So we're going to continue that underground high voltage power line and we're going to place it underneath. So then this way power is going back across. Oh, we connected everything. Wow. And we're even going to sell the outside power again. Okay, perfect. So we perfectly connected the high voltage power lines. You can see here, they're underground. Perfect. Everything is underground. Wow. That makes life so much easier. We got all those power lines are out of the way. That's amazing. So next, what we need to do is we need to make sure that our sewage and everything, all of that is taken care of. And so you can see here, there is a problem. So let's put the sewage lines underneath the bridge. That's a start. So then this way, all of our fresh water and sewage, it's all connected up. Okay, perfect. So the problem with originally putting it across the water was that the high voltage power lines got in the way. So you're going to see here, look, it says overlapping item. And at first you're like, what is overlapping? And you can see here that it's the high voltage power line. So yeah, again, I failed, but third time's a charm. So I didn't really realize what I was doing. So remember, this is a voiceover. So forgive me for, just for doing that. But what I eventually do is I'm like, all right, we'll keep going down the road and we'll connect it there. And there we go. We have all of our connections. Perfect. So now before we start everything, this is where electricity gets more and more interesting. So we have those high voltage lines, right? What we need to do is we need to create a transformer station so that the high voltage from the power plant itself, we'll make sure that electricity goes from the high voltage to low voltage. You can see here on the screen, it's connected to the roadway. So the low voltage is connected up and there we go. We just connected our high voltage and bing, bang, boom. So far, we can keep playing the game. I resumed the simulation. So now we have to remove all of this industry. Yeah, that's a lot of industry that we're removing. So what we'll do is we'll right click and drag and bing, bang, boom. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to drag all of the industry over there. And this is going to take a little bit to fill in. And as you can see here, remember buildings in Cities Skylines 2, they do take forever to fill in unless you speed up the simulation. But as you can see here, once you get rid of the actual zoning, it takes a little bit of time. I guess Cities Skylines 2 in a way gives you a little bit of forgiveness. Like let's say you accidentally dezone that, like this way you could just zone back over it and everything will be okay. But yeah, that was very risky move, but I think ultimately it will pay off. Next, what I want to do is I have one dev point and we want to think about using it for roundabouts because we're going to start to think about traffic as, we become a larger village. And over here, I just want to let you know, over here, this is going to be a downtown epicenter of the entire build. That's why we have medium-sized buildings. That's why over there is going to be very important. And that's why I think using the dev point on the large roundabout, shortly you'll see exactly why I wanted to do it. So now that we're waiting on industry to rebound because I absolutely destroyed it, you're going to see here that, all right, let's add more commercial near our school system. That's absolutely fine. There's our couple plazas. They look really good, by the way. I like the look of those plazas near the school, the little commercial plazas. I really do like that. I think that's absolutely fantastic. You can see here, we have a lot going on in our city, but we are at a standstill. So again, that roundabout, all right, put that there. Make sure we don't cause too much crazy traffic. Now you can see here, industry is almost completely gone. If you want, you could use the bulldozing tool. You could do whatever you want, honestly. But anyways, everything is filling in. Now in Cities Skylines 2, you're going to see that we've added pretty much everything we can for the most part. But what I want to get into next is I'll add the livestock farming. We're going to get more into industry as time goes on, but I just wanted to start it off and I just wanted to show you exactly what industry in Cities Skylines 2 is all about. So we all know in Cities Skylines 1, you could customize farms. You can customize farm, forest industry. In Cities Skylines 2, it is much, much, much different. So it's kind of like based, if you remember how the landfill was created earlier in the video, well, that's kind of like what we're going to do with the livestock farming. And the reason why we want livestock farming is because this specialized industry can be set up anywhere to produce livestock. So see that fertile land to the bottom left? You do not need that because it can be placed anywhere. So we're going to plop down the livestock and we're just going to place it in this square or rectangle, and we just very easy rectangle. Now we're going to add a couple more in this area. And we're just trying to create like a small farming community in our city. Again, I know we're going to get more into this next episode, but this is just a small taste of what industry is like in Cities Skylines 2. And that's like what we're doing by creating these zones and these districts. Like, this is the best we can do. This is the most customization we can do, is just the road layout itself. Is we can adjust the district and how it looks. I'm maintaining the rectangles because I think I like the symmetry of it because, well, this is an industrial area, so we don't want anything too crazy. But yeah, that's your livestock farming, and that's all the detailing you get. Now you will have small farms kind of pop up and stuff like that. There is a few different simulations, and like you can see like a tractor driving and stuff like that. But like there is not much to it other than what I'm doing right. So while we were moving over industry, we hit a Grand Village milestone. So far for today, James Smith is happy with where he's at. We're going to take a break. He's going to let things fill in as time goes on. Now for the next video, James will want to get into massively expanding industry. And the reason behind that is we are not making a ton of money. So industry will make us a ton of money, and we will get into other industries. We also have transportation and parks we want to get into. So guys, thank you guys for watching. James Smith greatly appreciates it. I greatly appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.